Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Making Mistakes Conversation Cheat Sheet. Do you know how to respond to mistakes in conversations? This brand new cheat sheet teaches you all the must-know phrases for correcting others and asking for corrections. Download it for free right now. Second, the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. This bonus ebook will teach you over 400 words and phrases related to daily activities like waking up, making breakfast, going to work or school, and much more. Third, the Shops Around the City vocabulary lesson. Learn how to say mall, supermarket, restaurant, bakery, and much more with this quick vocabulary bonus. Fourth, do you know how to express holiday greetings in your target language? Access this 1-minute lesson to learn phrases like Happy Holidays and Have a Happy New Year. Fifth, must-know winter clothing vocabulary. Do you know how to say jacket or scarf in your target language? If you don't, this next 1-minute lesson will give you all the words you need for winter clothing. Sixth, free audiobooks. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to any device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 51% off all basic, premium, and premium plus plans with our special Black Friday deal. To get your gifts in language learning resources, click the link in the lesson description below. Download them right now before they expire.
Hola, soy Brenda Romagnolo, tu profesora de español. Hoy vamos a ver cómo funciona y cómo formar el tiempo pretérito perfecto compuesto. Hi, my name is Brenda Romagnolo. I'm your Spanish teacher, and today we're going to have a look how to form and how it works the present perfect tense in Spanish. Muy bien, ¿cómo va a funcionar esta clase? Primero voy a hacer la explicación en español. Y luego, si eres principiante, voy a hacer una traducción al inglés para que puedas comprender esta lección. How is this class going to work? First, I'm going to do the explanation of this special tense in Spanish, and then I will do a quick translation for those beginners who would also like to understand this lesson. Lo primero que tenemos que prestar atención es el nombre de este tiempo verbal. Como puedes ver, en español decimos el pretérito perfecto compuesto. Muy bien, pretérito perfecto compuesto. En inglés, la traducción de este tiempo verbal correlativo, ¿no? En el inglés sería el presente perfecto. ¿Por qué hay esta discrepancia entre los nombres gramaticales? Bueno, yo creo que es por la función, cómo se usa este tiempo verbal. Es un tiempo verbal que lo usamos para hablar de una acción que empezó en el pasado, pero que aún continúa en el presente. Por eso tiene sentido que en español le decimos el pretérito perfecto compuesto y en inglés lo llamamos el presente perfecto. ¿Por qué es un tiempo compuesto en español? ¿Por qué es compuesto? Los tiempos simples en español son los tiempos que tienen un solo verbo, muy bien, o también puede haber una perífrasis verbal, pero siempre hay un solo verbo. En los tiempos compuestos del español vamos a tener dos verbos. Un verbo que es el verbo auxiliar, ¿no? Auxiliar, y que es el verbo haber, ¿sí? En español, haber. Y el otro verbo, muy bien, otro verbo. Por eso decimos que es un tiempo compuesto. ¿Qué significa haber? ¿No? ¿Qué significa el verbo haber? Como sabes, el verbo haber es un verbo de existencia, ¿sí? Significa existir en la realidad, muy bien. No es lo mismo que en inglés cuando usamos un auxiliar en el tiempo compuesto. En inglés usamos el verbo have, ¿no? Que significa tener. No son exactamente iguales. En español vamos a usar el verbo haber y en inglés el verbo have, to have. So the first difference that we have between Spanish and English here is the name of this this particular tense in Spanish and in English, right? In Spanish, we call it the preterite, the past perfect, and in English, we call it the present perfect, right? And that is because the specific usage of this verb is to talk about an action that started in the past and it is still continuing in the present time, or that it has some consequences in the present time, as we'll see. And therefore, it is accurate in both languages, yes? But in Spanish, we refer it as the past perfect, and in English, we'll call it the present perfect. So why do we call it compuesto in Spanish? Yes, in English, we don't even mention it. But in Spanish, we'll have a simple, no, tiempos simples y tiempos compuestos. So the tiempos simples are tenses that only have one main verb, yes, that are made of one verb. You could have some verbal phrases, but generally speaking, they are all one verb. And we're going to have the compuestos, tiempos compuestos, when we have two verbs. We have the auxiliary verb, which in this case is the verb haber, and then another verb, and they both need to be together. So what does haber mean? I'm not sure if you are aware of this verb in Spanish. It means to exist. It's a very impersonal verb that we have in Spanish, and it is not, a literal translation is not the same as what we use in English when we need to put together this tense, in the present perfect. In English we use the verb to have. El uso principal del pretérito perfecto compuesto es para expresar una acción pasada reciente realizada en un momento que aún pertenece al presente. Por ejemplo, he vivido en Madrid por 20 años. Como puedes ver aquí, he vivido en Madrid por 20 años. Es una acción que empezó en el pasado, hace 20 años, pero que todavía continúa sucediendo. Yo todavía vivo en Madrid y he vivido durante todo ese periodo de tiempo. So we mainly use the present perfect in Spanish to talk about an action that started in the past and is still happening at the moment of speaking, or that is still taking place at the present moment. So when we have a look at this example, I've lived in Madrid for the last 20 years. We can see here it's an action that started 20 years ago and is still happening at the moment of speaking. ¿Cómo vamos a formar este tiempo verbal en español? Necesitamos el verbo haber más el participio del verbo. El verbo haber lo vamos a conjugar en el presente del indicativo. Y el participio es el participio pasado del verbo. Vamos a empezar por conjugar el verbo haber, ¿sí?, con las diferentes personas, ¿sí?, los diferentes sujetos que le decimos en español los pronombres personales. How do we form this tense? We're going to take the verb haber and we're going to also add the past participle of the other verb. So let's now have a look how to conjugate, how to put into a sentence. So we have a subject performing an action. Let's see how we conjugate the verbo haber in the present tense of the indicative mood. Repite después de mí. Yo he. Tú has. Él, ella, usted ha. Nosotros o nosotras hemos. Vosotros, vosotras habéis. Ustedes han. Ellos, ellas han. Recuerda, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre vosotros y ustedes? ¿Sabes cuál es la diferencia? Ustedes significa vosotros en Latinoamérica y vosotros significa ustedes en España. You all en Latinoamérica decimos ustedes. You all en España decimos vosotros. Ahora vamos a ver cómo formamos el participio pasado de los verbos. Tenemos 3 categorías de verbos infinitivos en español. Todos los verbos que terminan en ar, todos los verbos que terminan en er y todos los verbos que terminan en ir. Dependiendo de la terminación del verbo, vamos a cambiar esa partícula para formar el participio pasado. Los verbos que terminan en ar, vamos a cambiar esa terminación por ado. Por ejemplo, el verbo trabajar, el participio pasado del verbo trabajar es trabajado. Por ejemplo, yo he trabajado, tú has trabajado, él ha trabajado, nosotros hemos trabajado, vosotros habéis trabajado, ustedes han trabajado, ellos han trabajado. Una nota importante que recordar es que no necesitas repetir el pronombre personal cuando conjugamos los verbos. Recuerda que el sujeto ya está mencionado en la conjugación del verbo. En vez de decir yo he trabajado, simplemente decimos he trabajado. He es yo. Muy bien, nadie puede realizar esa acción que no sea yo. Para los verbos que terminan en er o ir, vamos a cambiar la terminación por ido. Muy bien, ido. Por ejemplo, comer, el participio pasado de comer es comido. Y vivir, el participio pasado es vivido. Vamos a ver la conjugación como ejemplo. He comido. Has comido. Ha comido, hemos comido, habéis comido, han comido. Con el verbo vivir, he vivido, has vivido, ha vivido, hemos vivido, habéis vivido y han vivido. Okay, so what we have done here is already conjugated the verbo haber in the present tense of the indicative mood in Spanish. Each person, we see how they're performing the action, how is the conjugation for this verb, and then we learned how to form the past participle of verbs. So remember, we have three categories of verbs, infinitive verbs in Spanish, all those verbs that end in ar, all the verbs that end in ir, and er, and all the verbs that end in ir. So what we have to do is just change those endings into the different particles depending on what category of verb it is. So for the verbs ending in ar, we're going to change that ending to ado to form the past participle. So for example, we're looking into the verb trabajar. We say the past participle form of that verb will be trabajado. And then for the verbs ending in er or ir, the past participle will be formed by removing that ending and changing it for ido. Yes? So for example, the verbs comer, we're going to say comido, and vivir, vivido. I also mentioned that when we were doing the conjugation for yo he trabajado, tú has trabajado, remember the yo and the tú, the personal pronouns here are not necessary. It's a bit of an ambiguity because the subject is already mentioned in the verb in Spanish. Yes, because we always have a different verb conjugated, we know who is performing the action in this case. So if you prefer at the beginning to use it so that you remember who is yo, tú, and has, is absolutely fine, but remember most Spanish speakers will drop the subject altogether. So I recommend that you start practicing without using the subject so that you get used to talking to Spanish speakers. Con respecto a la ambigüedad de mencionar el sujeto o el pronombre personal y también el verbo, recuerda que es un poco ambiguo porque tenemos el sujeto mencionado en el verbo. Si tú quieres mantenerlo o usarlo porque es más fácil para ti recordarlo, no hay problema. Lo que sí quiero que tengas en cuenta es que la mayoría de los hispanohablantes en España y Latinoamérica no mencionamos el sujeto, simplemente decimos he trabajado o has trabajado. Entonces te recomiendo que empieces a practicar sin usar los pronombres para que puedas comprender y hablar mejor con nativos del español. ¿Qué pasa con los verbos reflexivos? ¿Sí? ¿A dónde va el pronombre reflexivo? es muy importante saber que el pronombre reflexivo va antes, ¿sí?, del verbo. Vamos a ver, por ejemplo, el verbo vestirse, que es un verbo reflexivo. El pretérito perfecto compuesto de este verbo sería me he vestido, te has vestido, se ha vestido, nos hemos vestido, os habéis vestido, se han vestido y se han vestido. Puedes ver aquí que el pronombre reflexivo va antes de los verbos. So a side note, this is on the reflexive verbs. What happens to the reflexive pronoun? Where do we place it? And it's important that you know that we're going to place it before the verbs. So we're going to say, me he vestido. See, I have dressed myself. So in that case, we always are going to put the reflexive pronouns before the verbs. Ahora vamos a ver algunos ejemplos de algunas oraciones con el pretérito perfecto compuesto. Este año ha llovido muy poco. Este año ha llovido muy poco. ¿Ya has comido? ¿Ya has comido? Este verano los incendios ya han destruido miles de hectáreas de bosque. Este verano los incendios ya han destruido miles de hectáreas de bosque. De todas las películas que he visto, Contratiempo es la que más me ha impresionado. De todas las películas que he visto, Contratiempo es la que más me ha impresionado. ¿Has visitado Venezuela alguna vez? ¿Has visitado Venezuela alguna vez? No me he sentido muy bien estos días. No me he sentido muy bien estos días.
Diego, ¿cuál es tu canal de YouTube favorito?
Mi canal de YouTube favorito es JapanesePod101.com, en donde aparece Risa. Ella es toda una influencer.
Claro.
Me gusta mucho ese canal porque tiene algunas listas de reproducción para aprender japonés básico. Y además me encanta que hacen transmisiones en vivo. Siempre en las transmisiones en vivo yo dejo un comentario. Me encantan esos videos.
Muy bien. Pues no me preguntaste, pero yo no tengo un canal favorito. Siempre veo videos en tendencia.
Esos son buenos.
Sí, los virales y los chistosos. No sé.
Me gustan los que se hacen virales, los que son cómicos.
Ajá, claro.
Sí.
Hey there, friends of SpanishPod101.com. We're really glad to be with you again. We love you so much. Oh my God. Well, so today we have YouTube related words.
Yeah, exactly. So in this video, you're going to learn 21 words that you can use when talking about YouTube. Very useful for social media. So hopefully, guys, you will enjoy this video.
Woo!
Okay, guys, so in this video, you're going to learn some words that are related to YouTube and for social media overall. Well, the first word that we want to teach you is pulgar arriba. Thumbs up. Pulgar arriba. Thumbs up. The next one is me gusta. Like. Me gusta. Like. For example, a todos los videos de JapanesePod101.com yo les doy me gusta o les doy pulgar arriba.
Okay, the next set of words is video. Lista de reproducción. Playlist. Lista de reproducción. Cuando me siento triste, veo todos los videos de la lista de reproducción que yo hice. Cuando lloro.
Yeah, don't be sad, my friend. Okay, so the next one, the next set of words is troll. troll, troll, troll. And also, comentario, comment, comentario, comment. Algunos videos tienen comentarios de trolls que no aportan nada.
Okay, the next set of words is canal, channel, canal, channel. Suscribir, subscribe, suscribir, subscribe. Notificación, notification, notificación, notification. We have this example. A este canal, suscríbanse y denle clic a las notificaciones.
Very good. Nice tip. The next set of words is tendencia, trend, tendencia, trend. And also popularidad, popularity, popularidad, popularity. And also viral, 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 viral. For example, algunos videos que hacen sobre las tendencias actuales se vuelven virales y eso al mismo tiempo les hace ganar popularidad.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the key for success.
Okay. The next set of words is colaborar, collaborate, colaborar, collaborate. Favorito, favorite, favorito, favorite. And suscriptor, subscriber, suscriptor, subscriber. Okay, let's see the example. ¿Tú crees que si invito a mi youtuber favorito a colaborar en mi canal, podré generar muchos suscriptores?
Definitivamente, claro. Deberíamos de hacerlo, de hecho.
Ok, ¿conoces a alguien?
Sí. Okay. Okay, guys. So the next set of words is they are very basic. Number one, influencer, which is the same word in English. Influencer, and also we have blog,
Blog.
vlog. For example, hay demasiados influencers que hacen vlogs sobre su vida diaria o sobre maquillaje, muchísimas cosas.
Oh, bien. It's my turn?
Yeah.
Okay, the next set of words is transmisión en vivo, live stream. Transmisión en vivo, live stream. And edición de video. Video edition?
Video edition, yeah.
Edición de video, video edition. Wow. Yo siempre me pongo nervioso en nuestras transmisiones en vivo.
So true.
Pero la ventaja es que no requieren edición.
Pero necesitan mucha preparación.
Oh, bueno.
Rima. Okay, guys, so the last set of words is opinión, review. Opinión, review. And also tutorial, tutorial. Tutorial, tutorial. Mis dos tipos de videos favoritos son los de opiniones de libros o películas, pero también me gustan los videos de tutoriales, de do it yourself.
Hey there, my beautiful family of SpanishPod101.com.
Yeah, as you might know, my name is Diego.
And I'm Efraín.
And in today's video, we're going to do something that we actually did in the live stream, where we talk about long words that are words that Spanish borrow from English. Now we're going to do in this video the other way around. Words that English borrow from Spanish. So hopefully, guys, if you're interested, enjoy the video. Woo!
So for years and years and centuries, well, not that much, Spanish and English have been trading and exchanging their words, okay? For example, there are some Spanish words that you use every day in English, like taco. Is there any translation of taco?
Yeah, in English you say taco.
Oh.
There is no translation actually. Yeah, exactly. And we have many categories of these words, and in this video we're going to break down 5 categories with some words, with the most common words that you use. So why don't we start with the first one, and that's some states.
Yeah,
Name
states.
of some states.
Okay.
So for example, obviously in the States, in the United States, you have the state Florida,
Florida.
which comes from Spanish, of course.
Okay.
Like from Spanish. But we also have another one that you may be familiar with, and that's California. Specifically,
California.
we have also, for example, Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
Los Angeles. And even we have, for example, El Paso, Texas.
Paso.
El Paso, Texas. El Paso, Texas. So these are just some examples of the words that are taken from Spanish.
Yeah.
So for example, mi primo Manuel vive en El Paso, Texas.
Oh, genial. Or California Girls. Esa es mi canción favorita de Katy Perry.
Muy bien.
Sí. So the next category is animals. And the first one is alligator, which comes from lagarto. Lagarto.
Okay, and that's a type of lizard, right?
Yeah, type of lizard. The next one, armadillo, which comes from armadillo, which is the diminutive of armado.
Armored. So it's a diminutive of armado, which in English is
Armado.
armored.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Which is armadillo,
Interesting fact.
and you say armadillo.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one, coyote.
Coyote, yeah.
Coyote.
Coyote.
Which comes from coyote. Coyote.
Endemic from here.
Yeah.
From Mexico. Good.
Mhm. And the next one, cockroach, which comes from cucaracha.
Cucaracha.
Cucaracha. And finally, jaguar, which comes from jaguar, which is like
A jaguar.
a jaguar. Okay, I wanted to save something from Aztecs and Mayans.
Okay.
Yeah, something I was. So let's go to the examples.
Representative from
Uh-huh.
Aztecs. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for example, a popular song in Mexico. La cucaracha, ya no puede caminar.
Porque no tiene, porque le falta.
O algo.
Something.
Something, okay, let's go. The next one. El coyote es endémico de México.
Muy endémico. Correcto. Muy bien. Okay, so the next category, guys, is some food and drinks. Okay, food and drinks. So the first one that we have is tortilla. So who hasn't ever eaten a tortilla, like a Mexican tortilla? Well, obviously this word doesn't have a translation because you pronounce it like that. Tortilla. Tortilla. Tortilla, maybe? Tortilla. So another one that you use a lot in English is, of course, una salsa. Salsa, which is the same in Spanish. Salsa, which is a sauce.
Cool.
We also have chorizo.
Chorizo.
Like, for example, one of my favorite foods is eggs with chorizo.
Qué
Huevos con
rico.
chorizo, sí, por supuesto. Very good. También tenemos otra que es who hasn't ever drank some piña colada,
Piña colada.
which obviously is from Spanish, piña colada, and it literally means strained pineapple. Strained pineapple. That is something weird, right?
Yeah.
So piña colada. And the last one is my favorite, my personal favorite word in Nahuatl. Okay, which you also use in English, and that's chocolate.
Oh.
Chocolate.
Really?
This comes from Spanish chocolate, which at the same time comes from Nahuatl, chocolatl. Okay? So chocolate, chocolate, chocolatl. Very interesting. So why don't we proceed to some examples?
Yeah.
So for example, mi chocolate favorito es el chocolate blanco.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one. Ya se me antojaron unas piñas coladas.
Oh yeah, vamos por unas piñas coladas.
Vamos. So the next category is places. And the first one is cafeteria, which in Spanish is cafetería. Cafetería. Well, it comes from the Spanish cafetería. I said it back. Okay. So it is a place where coffee and similar drinks are served.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, very
The
good.
next one, which is plaza. Plaza.
Mhm.
In Spanish, plaza, plaza. Okay? Which is an open square or similar in a town. Like Hotel Plaza. Plaza Hotel?
Plaza Hotel.
Yeah.
Plaza Hotel. Yeah, yeah. There's a famous chain, right? That is like that. Plaza Hotel.
Yeah. Another one which comes to my mind right now. Fiesta. Fiesta.
Fiesta, and it has the word in English, right?
Yeah.
Party.
Party.
But many people use fiesta as well.
And in it, there is another popular chain of hotels.
Well, yeah, of
Fiesta
course.
Inn.
Fiesta Inn, of course. Very good. Nice.
So, for example, ayer fui a la cafetería con Isabela y también con Jorge para platicar un poco acerca de la nueva plaza que abrirán en Coyoacán.
Ah, interesante. Muy bien. Let's conclude this video with other words, miscellaneous words. So, for example, we have hurricane. Hurricane in English comes from the Spanish word huracán.
Wow.
Huracán. So, hurricane from huracán. Another one that comes to my mind is cigar or cigarette. And that comes from cigarro.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Cigarro, like, oh, no, actually, like this. Yeah. So that's a cigarro cigarette. Okay, and the next one is comrade. Comrade.
Cambridge.
Yeah, which is from the Spanish word camarada.
Wow.
So do you know what is a camarada?
Camarada.
Un camarada is a fellow member of a certain group that you take part in. That's a comrade. Okay?
Okay.
So, for example, Efraín, esta tarde tengo que ver a mis camaradas de mi equipo de boliche.
Wow.
Or, for example, a mí no me gusta fumar cigarros.
Bien.
No.
Diego. Diego. ¿Qué haces?
Hello there, guys. So in today's video we're going to talk about the different sounds of X in Spanish, and those are the sounds that X has in Spanish. That's what
really?
I just did. Yeah.
That many?
Yeah, we have 4 actually, and we're going to show you in this video, guys. So as you might know, my name is Diego,
And I'm Efraín.
and enjoy this video.
Woo! So, as you may know, generally in Spanish, the pronunciation is easy. That's because the way it is written is the same way it is going to be pronounced. For example, the sound of the letter A is always going to be A. But there are some words, for example, the letter X, that changes according to the situation. So, in this video, we're going to unravel the 4 sounds of this letter.
Exactly. So let's start with the least common, and the least common is the sound sh, like an S and an H together. Sh. And this sound is usually for toponymos, which is like names of places. Okay, this usually for some toponymos precolombinos, that is like came before Columbus, and they come from Nahuatl normally. So for example, we have the place in Mexico, here in Mexico City, we have Xola,
Xola.
Xola, but it also is for some other proper names that used to be or come from Nahuatl. For example, the dogs breed Xoloitzcuintle. Xoloitzcuintle.
Oh.
For example, Efra, siempre he querido tener un perro Xoloitzcuintle.
Wow, yo también. Esos perros son hermosos. Okay, now the second less common sound for the letter X is as the letter J in Spanish. So this sound is commonly used for topónimos, which are names for places, and some other times for names, which not necessarily comes from Nahuatl, as in the previous sound. So, for example, we have two topónimos in this sound: Texas, and we also have Mexico. And those are the two topónimos. And for the name, Jimena. So, for example, mi prima Jimena vive en México. Mi prima Jimena vive en México.
Tú no tienes ninguna prima Jimena.
Cierto.
Esa es mi prima Jimena.
Que va a ser mi novia muy pronto.
What? Okay, guys, so the next sound is one that is very common, and that's the sound S, like the S in Spanish. S. And this sound is actually used when the words start with an X. Okay? When it starts with an X, it normally has the sound S. And this is normally for nouns. For example, we have xilófono, the instrument, xilófono. We have xenophobia, for example. However, there are also, since the language is evolving, there are also some names of places that has this sound. For example, here in Mexico, we have one from Nahuatl origin, which is Xochimilco. Xochimilco, even though it starts with X and even though it has a Nahuatl origin, it sounds Xochimilco, since the language is evolving. So, once again, is the letter S. For example, Efraín, yo no sé tocar el xilófono.
Ok. Yo sí. Well, the main sound of the letter X is X. As when you get together the letter K and the letter S. X, X, X. Or when you call a dog with Okay, so this sound comes when the letter X is in the middle of the word. And we have some examples. Extraordinario. Extraordinario. Okay? Excelente. Excelente. Examen. Examen. Or another one. Pretexto. Pretexto.
Ok. Oye, Efraín, ¿hiciste el examen de matemáticas?
Ah, no, es que me pasó algo extraordinario.
Siempre tienes un pretexto para no hacer los exámenes.
Es que no siempre te cruzas con Ana Paula. Wow, la invité a salir.
Ana Paula, la que es en extremo bellísima.
Sí, esa Ana Paula.
Wow, ok.
Sí.
Excelente.
Al fin me fue bien en algo en la vida. Al fin. Al fin. Mi primo... ¿A qué hora dijo que iba a regresar mi primo?
Tu primo dijo que iba a volver a las 8 de la noche.
Wait, what did you say volver when I said regresar?
Well, because they are synonyms. You can say one or the other.
Oh, so, entonces puedo decir, voy a regresar este collar porque no me gustó.
Yeah, you can say that.
And also I can say, voy a volver este collar porque no me gustó.
Well, no, in that case you should just say regresar este collar. Yeah.
Why? Aren't they synonyms?
Yeah, but no, and that's actually something that we're going to explain in this video.
So today, guys, we're going to tell you the basic differences between regresar and volver. So, I'm Efrain.
And I'm Diego, and enjoy this video.
Woo! So, friends of SpanishPod101.com, this lesson we are going to split this lesson into 3 parts and a key point at the end. So, the first one is that volver and regresar are actually synonyms, but just when they mean to go back, to come back, and to return. So when you go to a place and you want to go back, you can use either regresar or volver. For example, debemos regresar a Japón. Or you can say debemos volver a Japón.
Yeah, in this case, we haven't actually been there, but in this case, hypothetically, we went to Japan, and then we're here in Mexico, and we want to go back to Japan, or to come back to Japan, okay? Or to return to Japan. So, in this case, they are synonyms. Do you have any other example?
Yeah, for example, regresa pronto. Or you can say vuelve pronto.
Good. I like that, because that's when you go to a restaurant normally, and at the end they tell you, hey, regresa pronto, or hey, vuelve pronto. Yeah,
Vuelve
I like
pronto.
it. Very good. It's like come back soon.
Yeah.
Or return soon.
Return soon.
Very good. Okay, guys, so as we said, regresar could be translated as to return. However, when return, you want to say it in the sense of to take back something, you can use regresar, but not volver. As in the example that Efrain said. So he said at the beginning, tengo que regresar este collar. That's correct. But he then tried to say, tengo que volver este collar. That doesn't work in Spanish. However, there is a very similar word that you can use instead, and that word is devolver.
Devolver.
Exactly. So he can say, indeed, tengo que devolver ese collar, or tengo que regresar ese collar. And it means to take back something, to return something. So remember, in this sense, you cannot use volver.
Volver. Okay.
Very good.
So, or another example.
Yeah, let's see another example. Oye, devuélveme mi celular.
No.
Or, regrésame mi celular.
Okay.
Another example could be, yo fui a la biblioteca y pedí prestado un libro y mañana tengo que regresarlo.
Or you can say, mañana tengo que devolver este libro. So, do you remember that volver and regresar could mean to return? But when you want to express the idea of to start again, or to resume, or even to return to, you can only use volver. You cannot use regresar.
Okay, good.
So, when you use volver to express to start again, you have to use the preposition a. Okay? And it could also include a verb. So, for example, by the way, we have a video at SpanishPod101.com where we explain the different uses of volver.
Very useful topic for you guys, so just go and search for it. You will truly like it.
Yep. So let's go for the first example. Yo tengo que volver a hacer el examen porque reprobé.
Okay, so you are saying that you need to start again your exam because you failed the last one. Okay, so guys, just as a note here, as a side note, in this case, volver a could also have a synonym, and this synonym is de nuevo. However, if you want to say de nuevo, this adverb goes at the end of the sentence. So in this case, Efrain could have said, yo tengo que hacer el examen de nuevo.
Sí.
Meaning exactly the same as tengo que volver a hacer el examen. Good. Could you give us another example, Efrain?
Okay, another one. Esther volverá a ver a Ricardo porque se gustan mucho.
Exactly. So in this case, volverá a ver a Ricardo. He could also have said, Esther verá in the future a Ricardo de nuevo.
De nuevo.
Porque se gustan mucho.
Because they have already seen each other before.
Yeah, exactly.
They did it again.
They will do it again.
The next example. Nosotros volvimos a hacer videos de terror.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's actually true. So in this case, he could also have said, nosotros hicimos videos de terror de nuevo.
Okay.
In the past. So once again, volverá or de nuevo, they are synonyms, and in this case, you cannot use regresar. Take that into account. Very good. And finally, we want just to stress a key point in all of this. Remember that context is always king. Context is king. Just repeat after me, Efrain.
Context is king.
Why? Because, for example, if I say Mila y Fernando regresaron, or Mila y Fernando volvieron, is it clear for you what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, they came back together, right?
They got back together. Well, yeah, that could be one possibility, of course, because as in a relationship, they got back together. Ellos regresaron. However, what I tried to say is that they came back from Spain because they went to a travel. Yeah. So remember, context is always king, and by itself, the sentence Mila y Fernando volvieron doesn't mean anything unless you have some context attached to it. Hello there, my beautiful friends from SpanishBall101.com. My name is Diego.
And I'm Efraín. Pero usted no me dijo de qué íbamos a hablar en el video.
Bueno, la verdad es que no sé. Tú me dijiste que tenías todo el tiempo disponible para grabar.
Yo, pero si vos sos un pelotudo.
¿Y por qué cambiaste el acento?
Because there are many ways to say you in Spanish.
Exactly, and in this video we're going to check when to use tú and when to use usted in Spanish. So please enjoy the video.
Woo!
Okay guys, so why is it important to know when to use tú or usted? Efrain, do you know which country has the most Spanish speakers in the world?
Of course it is.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And do you know what's the second one?
Pues claro que son los españoles.
Oh, no. In fact, it's the States. The States is the country number 2, which has the most Spanish speakers in the world. Wow. So if you're learning Spanish, you have definitely come across people who speak Spanish and they use two forms of you in Spanish. Okay. So they use either tú or usted.
Okay.
In the case of tú, they use it in an informal way. Okay, it's for informal settings, whereas they use usted for formal settings. So let's break down in which occasions you should use tú and in which occasion you should use usted.
Okay, so you use usted for formal settings when you want to address older people, for example, or when you want to address someone of superior hierarchy. Like your boss or like
your supervisor.
Or when you want to address your acquaintances. So,
If you go and buy maybe some elote,
Ajá.
and you kind of know the guy, is your acquaintance. So it's
Yep.
like, me puede dar un elote, that's
¿me
correct.
puede
yeah?
dar un elote?
Good.
Okay. And, well, so you use tú when you have a different level of respect, like a friend or like even family. It's not really common nowadays that sons and daughter calls their parents as usted. They
You just
use
rather tú.
they use tú.
And what happens when you don't know the person, when it is an unknown person? So it depends on the age of the person actually. If he's your age or under, you will address it as tú, or if he is older, you will address him or address her as usted.
Yeah.
¿Quién es usted?
¿Tú no me conoces? ¿Sufres amnesia?
¿Quién es usted? When you don't know how to address the person you're speaking with, this is where the verb tutear comes into play. So we have the verb tutear, or even we also call it hablar de tú. Okay, tutear or hablar de tú. And we use it when you're kind of unsure whether to address someone as tú or usted, or when you want the other person to give you permission to speak to him with tú instead of usted. Let's see an example of this verb.
¿Qué tal? Buenas tardes.
Muy buenas tardes. Por favor, ¿me podría dar el menú?
Sí, adelante. Para iniciar, ¿gustaría usted algún aperitivo?
Oh, no, por favor, no me hable de usted, me siento viejo. Por favor, tutéame.
Ok, le hablaré de tú.
Sí, por favor, muchas gracias.
¿Quieres algún aperitivo o alguna bebida?
Claro que sí, ¿puedes darme una Coca-Cola, por favor?
Claro.
Claro. So, in this example, I didn't want to be dressed as usted because I didn't want to look older. So that's why I asked Efrain if he could talk to me of tú instead of usted. So once again, this verb is tutear, or just you just say hablar de tú. So I can say, Efrain, por favor, tutéame, or háblame de tú.
Yeah.
Háblame de tú. Yeah? Or puedes tutearme, or puedes hablarme de tú. Both work. Very good. But now, just in this video, let's just focus on tú and usted. Now, let's speak about the grammar difference between tú and usted. When you're going to use tú, of course, the verb needs to be conjugated differently than when you use usted. For example, in the present, the rule of thumb is whenever you use tú, the verb ends in an S. Okay? And in the usted form, it is conjugated as for él, as the subject él, or the subject ella. Therefore, él, ella, and usted are conjugated in a similar way. So, let's see some examples so you can notice the difference between tú and usted.
¿Cómo está usted?
¿Cómo estás tú, Efraín?
Usted es una persona muy agradable.
Eres una persona muy agradable.
¿Gusta algo de beber?
Efraín, ¿gustas algo de beber en mi casa?
¿Usted fue al concierto de música clásica anoche?
Oye, ¿fuiste al concierto de música clásica anoche?
¿Usted va a ir al cine hoy?
Oye, ¿vas a ir al cine hoy?
Welcome to Can Do Spanish by SpanishPod101.com.
Hola a todos. Soy Víctor Trejo. Hi everyone. I'm Víctor Trejo. In this lesson, you'll learn how to talk about your family as an adult with children.
This is Karen Lee. and she's studying with her Spanish teacher, Sonia Hernandez Acevedo. Sonia notices a picture on her computer and asks, "Is this your family?"
¿Es su familia?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response. Note, Sonia uses formal Spanish. Ready?
¿Es su familia?
Sí, mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Once more with the English translation.
¿Es su familia?
Is this your family?
Sí, mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Yes, my husband, my son, my daughter, and me.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Sonia asks, "Is this your family?"
¿Es su familia?
Let's start with the word
Familia.
family.
Familia. Familia.
In Spanish, all nouns have grammatical gender and are either singular or plural.
Familia.
Is feminine and singular, a fact that determines the form of other words in the sentence. Before this is
Su.
meaning your in this formal context.
Su. Su.
Note,
Su.
fundamentally means his, hers, or its, but it's also a formal way to say your when speaking to someone directly using formal Spanish. Now, you might be more familiar with
Tu.
an informal word for your, as in
Tu familia.
your family, informal. As this is a conversation between two adults that don't know each other very well, the formal form
Su.
is more appropriate. Altogether,
Su familia.
means your family.
Su familia.
Moving to the start of the sentence,
Es.
is
Es. Es. Es.
comes from the verb
Ser.
meaning to be. Altogether, it's
Es su familia.
this literally means is your family, but it translates as is this your family?
Es su familia.
Note, this is understood from context. Also, note the rising intonation of the sentence to indicate that it's a question.
¿Es su familia?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later. Let's take a closer look at the response. Do you remember how Karen says, "Yes, my husband, my son, my daughter, and me"?
Sí, mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
First is the word
Sí.
meaning yes.
Sí. Sí.
It answers Sonia's yes or no question. Is this your family?
¿Es su familia?
After this, Karen points to the picture and says,
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
first is
Mi esposo.
my husband,
Mi esposo. Mi.
my,
Mi. Mi. Esposo.
husband.
Esposo. Esposo.
Together it's
Mi esposo.
my husband.
Mi esposo.
Next is
Hijo.
son,
Hijo. Hijo. Mi hijo.
my son.
Mi hijo.
After this is
Hija.
daughter.
Hija. Hija. Mi hija.
my daughter.
Mi hija.
Next is
Y.
and.
Y. Y.
Last is the word
Yo.
which translates as me in this context.
Yo. Yo.
Altogether
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
means my husband, my son, my daughter, and me.
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
The pattern is
Mi family member, mi family member, mi family member y yo.
my family member, my family member, my family member, and me. To use this pattern, simply replace the family member placeholder with the members of your family. Imagine your family members are your wife, your son, your daughter, and you.
Esposa.
Is wife.
Esposa. Esposa.
Say, my wife, my son, my daughter, and me.
Mi esposa, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
My wife, my son, my daughter, and me.
Mi esposa, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo. Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Mi esposa, mi hijo, mi hija y yo. Mi esposa, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Mi esposa, mi hija y yo. Mi esposa, mi hija y yo.
Mi esposo, mi hijo y yo. Mi esposo, mi hijo y yo.
Mi esposo, mis hijos y yo. Mi esposo, mis hijos y yo.
Did you notice how the last speaker only names 3 family members?
Mi esposo, mis hijos y yo.
My husband, my sons, and me.
Mis hijos.
Means my sons in this case.
Mis hijos. Mis hijos.
Remember, in Spanish, all nouns have grammatical gender and are either singular or plural.
Hijos.
Is masculine and plural, a fact that determines the form of other words in the sentence.
Hijos.
Sons.
Hijos. Hijos. Hijos.
Is the plural form of
Hijo.
son.
Hijo.
Note:
Hijos.
can refer to a group of sons or a mixed group including at least one son and one daughter. However, when referring to a group of only daughters, use the word
Hijas.
before this.
Mis.
My
Mis. Mis. Mis.
is masculine and plural to agree with.
Hijos.
Together, it's
Mis hijos.
my sons.
Mis hijos.
To say my daughters,
Mis hijas. Mis hijas.
you should be aware of the plural form, but we'll use singular nouns in this lesson.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember the word for yes? Sí. Sí. And the word for husband? Esposo. Esposo. Do you remember how to say my husband? Mi esposo. Mi esposo. Do you remember the word for son? Hijo. Hijo. Do you remember the word for daughter? Hija. Hija. Now, do you remember the word for and? Y. Y. And the word for me? Yo. Yo. Do you remember how Karen says, my husband, my son, my daughter, and me?
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo.
Mi esposo, mi hijo, mi hija y yo. And the word for family? Familia. Familia. And the formal phrase for your family? Su familia. Su familia. Do you remember how Miss Hernandez asks, is this your family?
¿Es su familia?
¿Es su familia? Now, do you remember the word meaning wife? Esposa. Esposa.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Mark's colleague, Jorge Soto. You have a wife and a daughter. Respond to Mark's question referring to the photo. Don't forget to include the word for yes at the beginning of your response. Ready?
¿Es tu familia? Sí.
Mi esposa, mi hija y yo.
Listen again and repeat.
Sí.
Mi esposa, mi hija y yo.
Sí.
Mi esposa, mi hija y yo.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mark's boss, Rosa Reyes. You have a husband, daughter, and son. Ready?
¿Es su familia?
Sí, mi esposo, mi hija, mi hijo y yo.
Listen again and repeat.
Sí, mi esposo, mi hija, mi hijo y yo. Sí, mi esposo, mi hija, mi hijo y yo.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Mark's friend, Rita Rios. You have a husband and a son. Ready?
¿Es tu familia?
Sí, mi esposo, mi hijo y yo.
Listen again and repeat.
Sí, Mi esposo, mi hijo y yo. Sí, mi esposo, mi hijo y yo.
Did you notice how Mark uses
¿Tu familia?
when asking about his friends and colleagues' families?
¿Es tu familia?
Is this your family? In less formal situations, like speaking with a friend or a close colleague, the less formal
Tú,
is more appropriate.
tú,
Your.
tú, tú.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to deal with missed language goals and failure. Have you ever failed to reach a goal? If you're planning on learning a language as your 2021 New Year's resolution, or if you just want to know how to get back up and recover from language learning failure, then you'll like this episode. So keep watching. But first, here are this month's new free lessons and resources. First, the Making Mistakes Conversation Cheat Sheet. Do you know how to respond to mistakes in conversations? This brand new cheat sheet will teach you all the must-know phrases for correcting others and asking for corrections. Download it for free right now. Second, the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. This bonus ebook will teach you over 400 words and phrases related to daily activities like waking up, making breakfast, going to work or school, and much more. Third, the Shops Around the City vocab lesson. Learn how to say mall, supermarket, restaurant, bakery, and much more with this quick vocabulary bonus. Fourth, do you know how to express holiday greetings in your target language? Access this 1-minute lesson to learn phrases like Happy Holidays and Have a Happy New Year. Fifth, must-know winter clothing vocab. Do you know how to say jacket or scarf in your target language? If you don't, then this next 1-minute lesson will give you all the words you need for winter clothing. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to deal with missed language goals and failure. If you've ever set a goal, you've probably dealt with failure. A lot of people set goals around January, when they set their New Year's resolutions. If you're planning on setting a resolution to learn a new language in 2021, you'll want to pay attention. Now, in this video, when we say failure, we mean you set a goal, but you don't reach it. For example, if the goal was learning 100 words in a month, either you learned some words, meaning you took some steps, or you did nothing at all, meaning you learned 0 words. Failure usually happens for one of 2 reasons. One, you set an unrealistic goal that's too hard for you or your routine or your lifestyle. For example, learning 1,000 words in a month can be overwhelming. Or 2, it could be for reasons outside of your control. Maybe you got sick, or you're busy at work and have no time, or you're moving. Life can get in the way. So, how do you deal with failure? Do you feel disappointed? Do you quit? Do you keep trying? Leave us a comment and let us know. But if you want to succeed with your future language goals, you'll need to change your outlook on failure and learn how to recover. So, here are 5 ways to deal with missed goals. 1. Ask yourself, is this outside of my control or inside of my control? For example, you could be moving, you might have overtime at work, you may get sick, and life might just get in the way. These situations are outside of your control, so there's no need to blame yourself. If they were inside your control, it's likely you set a goal that was too hard or simply unrealistic for your current lifestyle. Why ask this? If the situation is outside of your control, you should keep on going. If the situation is within your control, you can work on fixing it, and we'll tell you how in just a bit. Second, if you feel disappointed about a missed goal, which is normal, use that feeling as motivation. Don't stop your language learning journey just because you're feeling disappointed. Third, understand that this isn't the last time you're going to fail. There'll be goals that you'll hit, and there'll be goals that you miss. That's just a fact of life. And in a way, that's good news because you'll get used to failing. You'll learn not to feel too bad about it, and you'll learn how to keep on going. Fourth, understand that as long as you spend time on the language, that's good enough. Goals are also meant to get you moving in a certain direction. So as long as you made some strides in the right direction, that's better than nothing. So if your goal was to learn 100 words, but you learned only 20, 20 is better than 0. You still started moving in the right direction. And if you didn't reach 100 this time, you can hit 100 in the future. It's just a matter of time. Fifth, recover from failure by setting smaller goals. Why set smaller goals? If you failed to learn 100 words, wouldn't it make sense to try that goal again? Or double up, punish yourself, and learn 200 to make up for lost time? In schools, when we miss homework, we have to make it up and stay on track with new homework. This doesn't make sense with goals. The reason is, if you fail again, it's because that goal is too far out of your reach. Either you yourself can't handle it, or your current situation, like being busy at work or having a private matter, doesn't give you much time. By aiming lower, you can at least get back on track to succeeding at reaching a goal. You're getting something done and you're getting your confidence back up. Because if you couldn't reach 100 words last time, chances are you won't reach it this time. So try 50 words, 30 words. Give yourself a chance to succeed on your own terms. And that's it. Don't let the small failures keep you from making a big success. Make your goals work for you. Let's recap one more time. 1. Ask yourself, is this outside of my control or inside of my control? 2. If you feel disappointed, use that feeling as motivation. 3. Understand that this isn't the last time you're going to fail. 4. Understand that as long as you spend time on the language, that's good enough. And 5. Recover from failure by setting smaller goals. If you're planning on setting a language learning resolution for 2021, let us know what it is. Leave a comment. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to get back on track after language learning failure. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! What are the best ways to learn a language on the go? You might be surprised to find there are lots of moments throughout the day we can transform into language learning opportunities. These might be on your commute, during an exercise session, or even just when you're trying to kill some time. In this video, we'll introduce you to 3 tips for learning on the go. Number 1. How to learn a language on the go. Many of us are probably used to studying when we have time to sit down and concentrate. We take out textbooks and notepads and prepare to focus our attention for an hour or so, like in a classroom. It might be hard to think of studying in other settings, like when you're sitting on a bus or are stuck in traffic. But there are still things you can do, even if your hands are full. For example, think about your commute. How much time do you spend traveling to and from work, school, or other activities throughout the week? If you have a 1-hour commute every day, that's a lot of time you could be spending working on your language skills. Even if you're not ready to devote your whole commute to study, a little bit every day will help. But how do you study in environments like these? By changing the way you approach your learning. These days, many people now have a computer right in their pocket. Smartphones make it easy to access many different kinds of study materials. Depending on our needs and the time we have available, we can watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, study vocabulary, review infographics, and more. There are many different ways to build our language skills, and we can choose study methods that work for our schedules, our personalities, and our goals. There are a lot of different methods to consider, so in part 2, we're going to share a few ideas to help you get started. Number 2, 5 easy ways to learn a language on the go. If you're standing on a crowded train, you can't pull out a book or do workbook problems. If you're exercising, it's probably impossible to review textbooks or take notes. If you're driving, you need to make sure you're watching the road. So how do you transform times like these into study opportunities? Situations like these are great for audio and video lessons. We have huge libraries of both, so you can choose whichever is best for you. All you need to study is a smartphone, a lesson, and a pair of earphones. Just press play and watch a video or listen to an audio lesson, like you would with music. During your commute or exercise session, you'll hear a simple conversation focused on a specific goal, like introducing yourself or ordering food. Then, our teachers will explain the words and phrases. In just a few minutes, you'll be working on mastering an entire conversation. Our second study method suggestion is our app, Innovative Language 101. You can download it for free for the iPhone, iPad, and Android. This will allow you to take your lessons with you wherever you go. Study idea 3 is for those of you who want something super quick and easy. You can use it to kick off your studies each day. It's our word of the day email. Every day, you get an email with a new word, example sentences, audio, and a picture to help make it stick in your mind. If you check your email during your commute, you can also check the word of the day. Our last 2 study method ideas are about tools that can help you remember what you study. First is our vocab slideshow tool. This study tool is available on all vocab lists and lessons. Just press play and listen to words and phrases one by one. You can even set the slideshow on a loop and listen to the words over and over. Finally, our last suggestion is our smart flashcards. These flashcards use spaced repetition to help you study and remember words, and the cards are mobile friendly. The cards remember your progress and quiz you on words at the right times. This helps ensure you don't forget the things you study. To access these, visit the site on your phone and find the flashcards in the vocabulary menu. Swipe through as you study. Our system will remember your progress. If you get a word wrong, you'll see it more often. The flashcards know to quiz you again and again until you remember that word. Number 3, be consistent. If you can find new ways to use your time and work towards your language goals, great. But remember to be consistent. Using all or even part of your commute or your downtime to study can be a fantastic way to make progress, but you need to make sure to do it regularly. Try to build a habit of starting a video lesson as soon as your commute begins, or pressing play on an audio lesson as soon as you begin a jog. Creating these habits will help you stick with your study methods long term and will lead to greater progress. When you decide to learn a language, it's exciting, but there are lots of different ways to approach your studies. What can you do to make sure you start things off in the best way for yourself? In this video, we'll cover 6 things for you to consider to get you started on the right foot. First, what is your reason for learning? Thinking about your why for studying a language can be so important. If you know why you're doing something, it becomes easier to create goals. There are lots of reasons to learn a language: travel, family, friends, love, and even the experience of living in a new country. Clarifying your reason for learning helps you define your mission and gives you motivation right from the start. Some reasons for learning may be stronger than others. If you live in a country that speaks the language you need to learn, you're probably highly motivated to study because your progress will directly affect your daily life and relationships. If, however, your reason for learning is something like, I want to be able to watch TV shows in that language, your motivation might not be as high as the person in the first example, but that's okay. Everyone has a different, unique reason for wanting to learn a language. Take some time to understand what you want to get out of your studies. This is a helpful first step. Second, set the right goals. Once you've clarified your reason for learning, it's time to set your goals. Don't make goals like, I want to be fluent one day. This type of goal is problematic because there's no deadline for the goal, no clues about how you'll achieve your goal, and no way of knowing when you've reached fluency. Your goals need to be small, measurable, realistic, and have a deadline. Try making monthly goals instead of yearly goals. Saying, I want to be fluent one day isn't helpful. Instead, make a goal like, be able to speak for 1 minute by the end of the month. A goal like this gives you a target, a skill to develop, and a deadline. You have 1 month to practice your speaking skills enough to be able to talk for 1 minute. You can set a timer and track how long you're able to speak. This is also a realistic goal. Learning enough to speak for 1 minute in 1 month is reasonable. You can even think of how you might reward yourself for achieving the goal. Third, reward yourself for achieving your goals. You can determine your rewards when you determine your goals. Rewards are powerful motivators. You should be working consistently towards your goals, but there will undoubtedly be times when the work isn't fun and you need something to push you through. When you come home after a long day of work or school on a rainy day, maybe the last thing you want to do is open a book and start studying. It's so much easier to turn on Netflix or scroll social media. But if you have a reward, you can use it as a motivator. As mentioned before, it's important to remember why you're learning a language and what your goals are. For many people, thinking about the rewards they'll get along the way boosts their motivation. If you give yourself something to look forward to, it can help you get through the times you may not feel like putting in the work. Fourth, match your routine to the study medium. The word routine here refers to your everyday routine. You need to understand your personal schedule and your personality to make a study schedule that's right for you. It may come as a surprise that this is a step where many people fail. They think they can do a lot more than they actually can, get overwhelmed, and quit. In the end, the people who give up after just a few weeks of hard study are only able to do a fraction of what they planned to be able to do. It can be tough to understand your own limitations. We all like to think we're capable of doing anything we put our minds to, at any time, on any day. But the reality is, there will be times when we're tired, bored, or just don't feel like studying. We need to be able to plan for times like these. To do that, we need to understand our own limitations. Try this. Write out your weekly schedule. Where do you have some existing time that you can spend on studies? For example, maybe you have some time on your commute every day, or sometime during a lunch break. If you're super busy, like most people, look for places in your day that naturally make sense, instead of trying to create a whole new block of time to devote to your studies. Maybe it's when you visit a cafe, or when you're on the bus or train. See if there's a place where you can match the medium, the learning method, to your existing routine. For example, on your commute in the morning, you can listen to an audio lesson twice a week, or listen once a week after dinner at home while you do chores. Break out some vocabulary flashcards during lunchtime. Maybe you can even find a weekend class. Which brings us to our fifth point. Fifth, anchor points. These are the connections you make to a language that boost your motivation and keep you attached or anchored to your goal. For example, maybe you have friends or relatives that speak the language. And if you're around them and you're exposed to the language, you're more likely to learn. If you don't know anyone who speaks the language, consider making a monetary investment, like a textbook or a learning program. By paying for something, you make a commitment to yourself to use it. Sixth, assessment. It's good to know where you are in your studies and determine if you're making progress. If you're not moving forward, maybe the methods you're using aren't quite right for you. Or maybe you need to find new ways to add studying into your routine to give you more opportunities to learn. But don't do assessments so often that you don't actually have a chance to learn. For example, if you take a test once and get a score you're not happy with, don't immediately take the test again. Give yourself time to study and develop your skills more. Then you can come back and try again. Assessment is a great way to keep yourself on track, but don't let tests take over your studies. In this video, we talked about 6 things to consider when you start learning a language. Figure out your reason for learning, set good goals, and choose rewards. Have anchor points, and make sure to match your routine with the medium of study. And finally, make sure you have the proper approach to assessment of your progress. What was the last new word or phrase you learned? Do you remember? If you can answer this question, then you're using a very important skill for language learning. It's called active recall. Keep watching to learn more about how powerful it is. In this video, we'll cover the best ways to study and remember. So, what is active recall? Active recall is an important part of learning and actually remembering what you've learned. Essentially, it means forcing yourself to remember what you've learned. For example, let's say you're reading a textbook and you learn a new word like hello. Reading is a passive activity. That word or phrase won't last very long in your memory. But then if you ask yourself later, okay, what was that word again? You're using active recall. It's when you try to remember something without looking at the answer. So, what's special about this? Typically, when we study for tests, we read and reread textbooks, take notes, highlight some key points, and reread some more. But with this style of studying, you're still looking at the answers and simply reviewing them, right? It's essential that you also study by forcing yourself to remember. Doing this helps improve your memory. So, how do we apply this to language learning? What are some tricks that you can use to actually remember what you study? First, try using quick recall. Let's start simple. Tell us in the comments, what was the last word or phrase you learned in your target language? Second, Quiz yourself right after studying. After you finish a lesson, ask yourself, what did I learn in this lesson? Go ahead and write down as much as you can remember. You can also ask yourself, what grammar rule did I learn here? Or what was the conversation? And try and recall the dialogue. Do this for every lesson, but don't look at the answers. The point is to recall as much as you can. Third, take notes from memory. Again, don't look at the answers. There's a note feature in each of our lessons to help you do just that. Fourth, take lesson quizzes. You'll find these in each of our lessons. Actually, taking tests or quizzes is a great way to practice active recall since you're forced to remember just the answers. Fifth, use spaced repetition flashcards to master words and phrases. Spaced repetition flashcards quiz you on words, and you have to mark whether you know them or you don't. If you know the word, you'll see it again in a few days. And if you don't know a word, you can flip the card and get the answer, but you'll get quizzed on it again and again until you get it right. Sixth, do assignments. If you're a Premium Plus user, you get weekly assignments from your teacher, and these test you on listening, reading, speaking, and writing. These are all ways to use active recall throughout your language learning to make sure you remember everything you study. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.